Howdy friends and welcome back to Pantry Meals. Today we are doing egg frittatas. This is like one of the ultimate pantry meals. It is literally clean out your fridge, put it in here, we're going to work it. You have two requirements for this. You need a cast iron or an oven friendly pan. If you don't have either one of those, skip this meal and enjoy the video though. Today we're using four bacon strips that I had left over in my fridge. If you are not going to use bacon as your base, please make sure that you well butter/grease this pan so that nothing sticks. We're going to cook our bacon until it's about halfway. And then again, this is a pantry meal. I'm using leftover things. I often make this on Sunday to help clean out all the veggies in the bottom of or leftovers in the bottom of my fridge so that I can start a new week. These are a couple cherry tomatoes from the garden this past year that were in the freezer and some canned potatoes. I used half the potatoes for another meal earlier this week and I still had 3 or 4 of them left, so I kind of put them in here. Then you want to season this to your taste. I would suggest that you're slightly heavy on salt if you're going to use a lot of items because lots of vegetables are bland. Now, frittatas traditionally come with 12 eggs. They're very large and thick. I have a 12-inch pan that I'm using today, and I don't necessarily need a super thick one, so I'm only using 8 eggs. But a lot of times if I'm only cooking for two to 4 people, I might only use 6 to 8 eggs instead of the full 12. Once you have beaten your eggs and seasoned them, you are going to add a cup of cheese of your choice. I'm mixing mine up. I got half a cup of mozzarella and half a cup of, what is this? I'm pretty sure it's Kobe Jack. Put those in your eggs and mix them well. Then once you feel like your potatoes and your tomatoes have popped and your potatoes are cooked down a little bit, you're going to add the vegetables that you have left over. I had an onion, some mushrooms, a couple pieces of asparagus I found laying around, and a bell pepper. Once those have cooked down and your onion is about midway, you're not completely translucent, you're going to add your leftover meat. I had 2 cheese dogs, pork chop, and a couple pieces of Canadian bacon because that's what was left over. Leftover lunch meat is great for this. Have you ever noticed that there's never an even amount of leftover lunch meat? This is a great way to use that. Or, that lone half a pork chop that nobody ate. Put steak in here, put pork chop in here, put venison. It doesn't matter. It's all pre-cooked. What you're really doing is making sure that the vegetables are cooked and you're heating the meat up at the end. It's one of the last items that you add before you add your eggs. And this is also where if you have spinach laying around or kale laying around that you need to get rid of because it's on the border of wilting, you're going to add this. Now, I do happen to have some frozen spinach in my freezer, and I'm only going to add a half of this bag because not everybody who is eating at my house today likes spinach, but I like to try to add a little green. My stepson is here, and if he's going to eat it, he won't eat lettuce on his own, let alone spinach. So it has to literally be hidden in something. And we all know that when you cook down spinach like so, it gets nice and small, so he doesn't know the difference. Now, you are going to add your eggs to your pan, and you do want to try to, spread it out like I'm doing as much as possible. The eggs will try to slide in between all the spaces in the vegetables. Now, our stovetop is still on high, but I have my oven at 350. And we are going to let the eggs sit here for a minute until you can see them starting to bubble in the middle. And once they do that, we're going to take our spatula and mix it around just a little bit like you would normally do for an egg scramble for a couple reasons. One, we want to make sure that the vegetables and the eggs incorporate. But 2, we also want to make sure that it doesn't stick on the bottom so it's a little easier to come out. If the vegetables are the only part on the bottom, sometimes it won't come out. So, you got to, like I said, you got to give it a little swoosh in here. And then once you've swished it, we are gonna wait to see that the eggs are starting to make the little bubblies in here so that you see, little air pockets of heat coming out. And then you're gonna put it in the oven for 10 to 14 minutes. It really depends on how thick your egg is. What you're looking for when you pull it out is that you can see the sides of the pan have, if you look at the bottom left near the bottom of the stove, you can see like little pops of oil / air coming out. We want to see that. That means that it's incorporated all the way through. And then you're going to put this on a baking rack and you're going to walk the F away from this and you're coming back to it a couple hours later. If it's cast iron, you need to wait till your cast iron is cool. Once it is, you're going to flip it over on top of a plate, and there it is. It was super tasty.